What is up, you guys, and welcome back to this two-part series on this Aston Martin. So you guys may have seen the last episode. Henry did an amazing job at washing it and getting it ready for us. He also clay barred it, which is great because now we can go ahead and jump into the polishing process. And then once we're done with that, we're gonna go ahead and coat it with the professional grade ceramic coating, Carbon Force. So stay tuned. We're gonna show you guys how to do that right now. All right, guys, so right off the bat, I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you guys, this is my first time today looking at it. As you guys can see, the paint is absolutely covered in swirl marks and fine scratches. So we're not exactly sure what combination of compound and polish that we're gonna use in order to eliminate those imperfections from the paint. So that's why I have my V36 and my V38 combo right here in front of me. So this is the combo that I'm gonna use for this paint because these are fine imperfections. So we're not gonna go crazy going with the heavier aggressive compound unless absolutely necessary. So today we're using the V36, V38 combo. These are both polishes, V36 being a light grade cutting polish and then V38 being a final polish. So I'm gonna be using these polishes with an assortment of pads. It's mainly gonna be the orange and the white Hexlogic pads. Now the orange is our medium to heavy cutting pad. So whenever you accompany this with the light cutting compound like V36, it does an amazing job as kind of like a one step. It also lets you kind of gauge, how much more aggressive you'll need to go with the compound. And then to follow it up, once we're done with our correction, we're gonna follow it up with the V38 with the white pad just to refine the paint, give it that ultra smooth clarity and get it ready for the next stage, which is applying our ceramic coating. So that's gonna be our two-step combo. Right here, I also have a bottle of Wipeout. It is the next day, so the car was kept indoors, luckily, but however, there is still some dust on the surface. So we just wanna make sure to give the paint a light little wipe down before we get into the polishing stage. Now we don't have to rewash the whole thing, so we're just gonna be using our Wipeout. And Wipeout, it's also great because it's a surface cleanser. So not only is it gonna wipe off that light layer of dust, but it's also gonna help remove any kind of residual oils from like waxes or sealants or any kind of glazes that are on the paint to get it furthermore prepped for the paint correction stage. I also have some green workhorse towels. Now these are brand new towels. Why? Because I want to make sure that I don't have any kind of older towels to cross-contaminate. The last thing I want to worry about when I'm doing the paint correction is using an older towel that I used on a filthier car and using it on this amazing looking ride. So make sure that whenever you're working on a more delicate, more sensitive kind of nature, make sure to use your best judgment, use clean towels, fresh applicators, fresh pads, and you'll be good to go. Also, to accompany my paint correction, I'm going to be using our TORQ 15DA polisher. Now, the reason I'm using this polisher is because, check it out. This car has a variety of surfaces. We have large surfaces, we have curved surfaces, and we have tight surfaces. So these areas, it's kind of finicky to get into, so it's always great to have a machine that does an all-around job on the vehicle. So this right here comes with a 5-inch backing plate, which is great for us to cover large surfaces and smaller areas, and it also has a 15mm throat, which is going to allow us to cover more surface coverage with each pass. And that's why I'm using the TORQ 15DA. And afterwards, once we're done with the paint correction stage, we're going to follow it up with some Carbon Force. Now, Carbon Force is great, especially if you're going to go and do the full extent of the detail. So if you're going to go ahead and wash your car, strip off all the protective coatings, clay it, polish it, then our best recommendation is to apply a long-lasting form of protection like Carbon Force. Now, Carbon Force is designed to give you up to 5 years of amazing shine and ceramic protection. So, with all the work that we're putting in here today, we want to make sure that it's worth it, right? So that's why we're applying Carbon Force, because we want to make sure that we get the deepest, wettest shine imaginable, and we have the best resistance to any kind of contaminants that makes contact with our ride. So with all that being said, let's get started. I'm going to grab my polisher, come over to the car, and show you guys how to start polishing this car up. All right, guys, so we're back. We're right here, right in front of the Aston Martin now. As you guys can see, we did a little work off camera. I went ahead and kind of taped off and masked off some of the delicate areas, such as like the vent here, the headlight, the emblem. The reason I masked them off is because I don't want to get any kind of polishing residue on them, just because these vents right here, they're like a matte finish, so I don't want to stain them. So I'm just going to go ahead and prevent that by just masking it off with some tape. I also have some gloves on just because I don't want to get any kind of oils. As you guys can see on the car itself, like I mentioned, this thing was here overnight. So you guys can see that there's fingerprints on it. We've had some people pass by, they look pretty horrible. So we want to make sure that we get those off before we start polishing. And what better way to do that with our Wipeout surface cleanser. So like I mentioned to you guys before, Wipeout is great for, inspecting your paint. So if you want to go ahead and prep your paint, inspect your paint in between polishing, then this is a great product to have at all times whenever you're polishing. So it's a super easy to use product. It's kind of like a quick detail spray. Just want to make sure to shake it up, spray a light fine mist. Set this down, grab your nice microfiber towel and gently wipe it right off. And this is gonna go ahead and remove any kind of light dust, debris, fingerprints, and it's also breaking down any kind of residual wax and sealants that may be on the paint. So this definitely works out amazing, especially if you're gonna apply like a protective coating after you're done polishing, or maybe you're just gonna go ahead and wash clay and wax your car. Wiping down your paint with some wipeout also works out amazing, just to ensure that there's nothing that's going to interfere with the full bond of your wax, sealant, or glaze, or any kind of protective coating that you apply. Flip it over to the dry side, buff off any excess, and you're going to be good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and finish wiping down the hood here with some wipeout. I'm going to wipe off the fenders as well, just to make sure that it's clean, dust-free, and fingerprint-free. And then we'll begin with the polishing stage. So stay tuned, we'll be right back. All right, so now that we're done wiping down the vehicle with some wipeout, it's time to inspect the paint. Now with this paint, it's super metallic-y, so it has a lot of metallic flake, which is gonna be a little bit difficult to kind of see just because I'm not sure if the camera is completely gonna catch it. But using our ultra bright, if you were to see this in person, you'll see that there's a lot of fine scratches, a lot of fine swirls that looks like they'll come right off just with a one step. So that's what we're gonna go ahead and do. So I have my TORQ 15D8 polisher right here with the orange pad already on it. Like I mentioned, this orange pad is gonna work out great to give us a nice medium cut, especially since we're using it with a light cutting polish. So I'm gonna grab my bottle of V36 here, and usually the general kind of rule that we kind of follow is, you wanna follow the dime size drop per size of the pad. So since this is a 5-inch pad, we're gonna apply 5 dime size drops. So we're gonna go ahead and shake that up, put about 5 drops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 or so. It kind of a little splurted out a little bit there. And we're just gonna grab a little bit of pad conditioner and give it a light spritz just to lubricate the pad so that we don't build up any kind of excess friction. This is a huge deal whenever you're polishing because you wanna ensure that you build up as least heat as possible. You don't wanna go any kind of overboard heat because then you could potentially burn the paint and your pad can start to fall apart. So make sure your pad is always moisturized and conditioned. Pad conditioner, 2 light sprays, that's all you need and you're good to go. So I'm gonna set that down, wrap your cord over your shoulder just because you don't want it hitting the fender as you're polishing the hood. And then we're gonna grab our polisher here and blot it out in a little 2x2 section. So I'm gonna blot it out right here. And then we're gonna go ahead and spread it out on speed setting 1. All right, so now that we have that spread out, we can finally begin to work it in. Now, I like working it in on a higher speed setting, so I usually throw this on speed setting 5 or 6 to ensure that we get that nice deep cut and we break down the full abrasives in V36. And then once you see the product become clear, you'll see it kind of like be transparent, then you'll know that the product is fully broken down, and then you can grab your microfiber towel and wipe it right off. So next thing I'm gonna show you guys is whenever you're polishing, you don't wanna put pressure on this. This is an aluminum hood, so the last thing you wanna do is dent it while you're polishing it. So you wanna make sure that you're applying no pressure. Well, you can apply a little bit of pressure, but your ultimate goal is to keep this backing plate parallel to the surface that you're working on. So if your polisher is like this, you're most likely not gonna get an even cut. So you wanna make sure that this backing plate is always even and evenly distributed amongst the pad. So you can also see whenever you push down, the pad kind of goes down evenly, as opposed to it kind of being like opposite or off to the side, and then you're not gonna get the best cut. So you wanna make sure that this is nice and even. You have your ergonomic handle right here that allows you to easily grasp the polisher head and allow you to polish comfortably. So I'm gonna turn this on to speed setting 5, go ahead and work this area, work until it's clear, and then I'll wipe it off to show you guys the results. All right guys, so we just finished doing that little 2x2 section, and now it's time for us to grab our microfiber towel and check out our results. So I'm gonna grab our green workhorse towel here, and I'm gonna buff off the excess. As you guys can see, it has a nice translucent look. It's nice and clear, and it wipes right off. And that's one thing. If the polish or the compound is not wiping off evenly or smoothly, then that's just kind of like a clear indication that it still needs some work done. So you need to continue working it. And right off the bat, this thing looks amazing. This thing has a lot more of a deeper shine. The scratches, the fine scratches and swirls are completely gone. And you can actually see that the paint has a lot more depth. So if you kind of see between the area that I polished and I didn't polish, you'll see that this has a lot more of a darker look, whereas the other side has more of a lighter look. The depth of the paint is much more lustrous, has a much more of a sleeker look. So now what we have to do is continue with doing the rest of the vehicle. So I'm going to continue with hitting it with the orange pad with the V36 combination. I'm going to do the entire vehicle, come back around, and then once we're done hitting with the V36, we're going to come back. We're going to hit it with the V38 final polish with the white hex logic pad to refine any kind of fine scratches or swirls or any kind of imperfections, get those out the way, and then get this paint ready for a coating of carbon force. So stay tuned. We'll be back very soon. Well, I mean, it depends on how long it takes me to finish up this car. I might grab Nick and help me out, but we're going to do this entire Aston Martin. I'll be right back with you guys to show you guys the results. All right guys, so we're done polishing the entire Aston Martin. It took a couple of hours just because we wanted to make sure that it was completely perfect, because remember, we are applying a professional grade ceramic coating, which brings us to our main event, which is our Carbon Force ceramic protective coating. Carbon Force is going to lay down a sacrificial layer of protection over our paint here. So as you guys can see, this paint is absolutely flawless. So we want to ensure that it stays looking that way for as long as possible. Now, Carbon Force is designed to last up to 5 years of amazing shine and protection. So what that means is that it's going to give it a super diamond clear optical shine, and it's going to add a layer of protection that's going to shield it from any kind of contaminants that comes its way, such as the UV rays, contamination, industrial fallout, bugs, tar, water spots. It's gonna prevent a lot of those things from damaging the actual surface of your paint. So it's gonna work out amazing at, keeping this car cleaner for a lot longer. And also it does have intense hydrophobic properties, which means that it's gonna make it super easy for water to just, bead right off or roll right off without even wanting to stick. So it's definitely gonna make it super easy for you to maintain. Whenever you wash your car, grab yourself a blower, dry it up real quick, you're good to go. If you got any kind of contamination on there, spray a quick detail spray, wipe it off, you're good to go. So I'm gonna stop talking now and I'm gonna proceed with actually applying this now. So I'm gonna open it up. So right here we have our full kit. Now this is a full protective coating system. So everything that you need to apply this product comes within this neat little packaging. So I'm gonna open it up. You have a flap right here on top. Now the kit itself comes with 3 micro suede applicators. So you guys see these right here. They're nice and soft. They're a nice micro suede material, and they are perfect for applying Carbon Force. So I'm gonna go ahead and set these down right here. It does come with 3. So you do have, if you drop one, you can go ahead and pretty much replace it. However, 1 bottle of Carbon Force, it's very small. However, 1 bottle is more than enough to cover an entire vehicle and up to 3 standard size vehicles. So I'm gonna take this out, set this down. And there you guys have it. That's our Carbon Force ceramic protective coating. Now this right here works on virtually all glossy exterior surfaces. Paint, glass, metal, glossy wheels, headlights, tail lights, chrome, exhaust tips, you name it. This thing is gonna work out amazing in adding a super high gloss shine to all of those finishes, whilst also giving you that amazing protection. So without further ado, let's finally apply this product. Now, first things first, whenever you're applying a product like Carbon Force, you want to make sure that you're working in a well-shaded environment. So we are right here in the detail garage, and the next thing you also want to have is a well-ventilated area. So you don't want to have the garage door closed, you actually want to have it open. So I opened it up just for this occasion, just because we want to make sure that the coating, it actually has some air so that it flashes and then we can buff it off. So this is going to work out great. Now I'm going to grab my micro suede applicators and show you guys how to apply it. Now, first things first, your microsuede applicators do come with a tag. So you want to make sure that you take off that tag before you begin applying your coating. So I'm going to do that now, take that off, snaps right off. I'll save that for later. And one last thing I do want to mention before we apply this is that before you apply this, we recommend that you wear and heed any kind of safety protocol equipment. So I have my gloves on already. I'm just going to go ahead and put my goggles on, just so I make sure that I don't get anything in my eyes. So Carbon Force, it's super easy to apply. What you want to do first is, take off your cap. You want to open up the product first, right? So take off the cap, and then you're introduced to a nice little spout that has a little hole right here. Now, what you don't want to do is just go ahead and pour this thing all over your applicator. I'm going to show you guys the proper way of applying Carbon Force. So what you want to do is you want to grab your bottle like so, put your applicator up here, and then you want to go ahead and flip that around. And then you want to apply a line of product. So get yourself a nice line of product on your applicator. You can also come back to fill in that gap. Flip it back around. Have that in your hand. Get your cap and put it back onto your bottle. Because the last thing that you want to worry about is, you set it down, you're over here busy applying it, you knock it over and it spills all over your car or all over the floor. So once that's done, you're ready to start applying. So let's go ahead and hop over here to the car. Now, whenever you're applying Carbon Force, you want to work it in a 2x2 area to ensure that you get the best coverage and the most uniform coat. So you want to go ahead and set it down on the surface, and then I'm going to work it in a crosshatch motion to ensure that it's nice and evenly applied on the area that I'm applying it to. So go ahead and apply. You'll see right there, it applies very smoothly. It applies just like butter. It pretty much melts onto the surface. After a full paint correction, the paint should be like glass smooth already. So your applicator should be gliding right over the paintwork. And just like that, it's super easy application. The microsuede applicator makes it extremely convenient to apply it, as you guys can see. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and go in a crosshatch motion, going from left to right. So after we applied it in this little 2x2 area, you'll start seeing within 30 seconds to a minute, it'll actually start kind of seeing like a little rainbow effect, which means that the product is flashing. And once you kind of see it tone down, you'll know that it's fully done. So you can grab yourself your workhorse towel and buff off the excess of the product. And as you guys can see, it buffs right off, no problem. You can always flip it around to another side of your towel just to ensure that you remove 100% of the product. And you're done. All right, so now we're gonna continue with coating the rest of the vehicle. As you guys saw, we only coated that little chunk of the hood just to show you guys how easy it is to apply a professional grade ceramic like Carbon Force to your vehicle. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna continue with coating the rest of the painted areas. Along with the paint, we're also gonna be coating the headlight and the glass just to ensure that the owner of the vehicle has maximum clarity and his headlights are shielded from those harsh UV rays so that they don't get oxidized. So we're gonna go ahead and coat this entire vehicle, wrap it up, and show you guys the final results. All right guys, and that concludes the detail on this Aston Martin Vanquish. If you guys like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you aren't already, make sure to subscribe to our channel to be notified whenever we post a brand new video. As always, my name is Joey. This is Chemical Guys Detail Garage, and I'll see you guys next time.